We represent the first respondent, the Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, who has been described in many terms, the decision maker, the ultimate decision maker, and that the buck stops with him. That is our client. But may I just make this remark at the outset that transformation in this country is a non-negotiable. It is written in the DNA of this country. It is also embedded in our social contract, the Constitution. It is not a nice to have. It is something that we are enjoined as a society to have, because our past, future are built on the recognition of the injustice of our past, and we honor those who suffered for justice and freedom in our land. That is in our Constitution. That is our DNA. May I start by just outlining in brief the topics that we intend covering. And the respondents have had a discussion about how they wish to divide up the time, and we'll deal that in due course. But these are the main points that we want to make. The first point is that the process which the minister followed, when I refer to the minister, I'm talking about the DTIC minister, is lawful. It has followed the strictures, the requirements of every legal instrument that governs the powers, functions, and goings on of the minister. So that is going to be our main point. And we will go through the record in some detail to illustrate where the minister confined and did his role as constitutionally and legislatively required.
The trade union Solidarity has mounted a significant legal challenge against the Legal Sector Code LSC, arguing before the Gauteng High Court Pretoria that the framework places undue emphasis on race over merit and risks undermining fundamental freedoms within South Africa's legal profession. The union, which filed its own application to have the LSC reviewed and set aside, contends that the code erodes both the professional autonomy and reputation of legal practitioners. Addressing a full bench of 3 judges on Wednesday, Advocate Willem Becher argued that the framework effectively restricts how legal professionals may operate by directing the allocation of work based on prescribed criteria. According to Becher, this system not only interferes with practitioners' ability to freely conduct their work, but also limits their opportunities by prescribing what portion of legal briefs they may receive, and that the LSC diminishes the goodwill and standing of legal professionals by constraining their independence and dictating patterns of work allocation. Although Solidarity has not formally joined the separate application brought by major law firms, including Norton Rose, Fulbright, formerly Denise Bowman's, Weber Wenzel, and Waxman's, its case is being heard concurrently within theirs. Both matters seek to challenge the sector-specific broad-based Black economic empowerment framework introduced by Trade, Industry and Competition Minister Pakstow in September 2024. Becker emphasized that Solidarity's application is not an ideological attack on transformation policies or affirmative action. Instead, he framed it as a constitutional challenge focused squarely on legality and due process. And so this is not a case against transformation or the constitutional commitment to substantive equality. Rather, it is an effort to ensure that transformation is pursued within the confines of Constitution and the rule of law. He further clarified that the union does not dispute the legitimacy of affirmative action or sectoral transformation measures as provided for under the broad-based Black Economic Empowerment Act. The crux of the case, he argued, lies in whether the LSC was developed and implemented in accordance with the legal framework governing such as regulatory instruments. At the heart of the dispute is what Becker described as a constitutionally indispensable inquiry whether the code was formulated through lawful procedures and within the limits of public power. He rejected attempts by respondents, including the Ministers of Trade and Industry and Justice, to characterize the application as anti-transformation or politically motivated, and said this matter is not about the desirability of transformation. It is about whether the means chosen to achieve the transformation comply with the Constitution, the BBBE Act, and the regulatory framework that governs sector codes. The applicant submits that they do not. Solidarity also argued that the LSC has tangible implications for its members, many of whom are employed within the legal sector and may face restricted career progression as a result of the code's provisions. Becker pointed out that the framework could directly impact employment opportunities and professional advancement, particularly where compliance targets dictate hiring and briefing practices. A further point of contention raised by the union relates to the constitutional right of individuals to choose their legal representatives freely. Becker argued that the LSC interferes with this right by regulating briefing patterns and effectively steering work toward practitioners who meet specific demographic criteria. In addition, the union contends that the code encroaches on the right to collective bargaining by imposing rigid numerical targets on law firms. These targets, it argues, leave little room for negotiation between employers and employees regarding workplace demographics and transformation strategies. The LSC, as gazetted, is a binding regulatory instrument designed to drive racial and gender transformation within the legal profession through measurable targets. Its provisions include requirements such as achieving 50% Black ownership and directing between 60 and 80% of procurement spent toward Black-owned law firms and advocates within a 5-year period. Becher argued that such measures, while aimed at addressing historical imbalances, carried the potential to infringe on constitutional rights across the board, affecting both those who benefit from the framework and those who may be excluded by it, and that the code operates with direct downstream effects on procurement, briefing patterns, enterprise participation, and workplace demographics, warning that its impact is both wide-ranging and deeply consequential. Interestingly, the majority of legal practices in South Africa are exempt from the LSC's requirements. More than 95% of firms fall below the turnover threshold for compliance, meaning that the code's obligations are concentrated among larger, more established practices. Despite this, Solidarity maintains that the ripple effects of the framework extend throughout the profession. Meanwhile, the court proceedings continued on Wednesday, with legal arguments presented on behalf of the Minister, Dau, who is opposing the application. Submissions from the Justice Ministry are expected to follow, as the state seeks to defend the validity and necessity of the LSC as a tool for advancing transformation within the legal sector. As the case unfolds, it is poised to test the delicate balance between South Africa's commitment to redressing historical inequalities and the constitutional principles that govern the exercise of public power. The outcome could have far-reaching implications, not only for the legal profession, but also for the broader implementation of sector-specific transformation policies across the economy. What's your take on this one, people? Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more news.